Thanks, Freak. And another fantastic win by Copenhagen Wolves there. As Irene put it, they kind of have that promotion tournament magic, at their backs. We have to talk about it immediately, the Gnar pick. What's going on with that?
Well, I actually really like Gnar. I think Gnar is really, really good. I think there's a couple ways you run Gnar. You run Gnar when you have good follow-up to your Wombo and something that supports your pseudo-initiation. So if I see a Gnar pick, I'd like to see either an Orianna or Yasuo. I think Yasuo will work really, really well with it. Or even a Ziggs maybe for a good follow-up there. But they picked it with a pick comp, Ahri. I wasn't sure exactly how that was even supposed to work. I actually had no idea what the idea of their team comp was supposed to be. I didn't seem to have an identity. Just people picked champions they wanted to play, and then eventually it just kind of collapsed on itself. I feel like they got outdrafted both games, and they got out level 1 both games as well. So it seems that H2k did not come into this set prepared for how strong Copenhagen was going to be.
I'd say the other interesting thing about Champion Select 2 was that H2k did throw those 3 mid lane bans at Soren and then chose not to first pick a mid laner, therefore leaving Yasuo up for him. So Xpecial, what on earth would possess you to do that? It was something that was banned prior to that.
Basically, H2k is saying that Soren XC isn't that strong on other than these champions, and Soren XC is actually doing really, really, really well. He got a first play with a gank, and then he started dominating mid lane, got the turret, went bot lane, got a bunch of kills, and Soren XC is looking really, really good. And Forbidden's not like this god that I was being told about, and I'm being misled here, and I'm a bit sad about that.
Well, and then we have to give some credit to Airwax in the jungle because he did bring that Gragas to the mid lane a few times to kind of get that lane rolling. So in that jungle matchup, we did see some jungle ban focuses and things like that, or at least the early Kha'Zix pick away rather, and it didn't seem to pay off. Scarra, when you have that kind of a matchup where there's clearly a lot of weight put on the mid lane, wouldn't you expect that H2k would match that aggression in the mid lane?
It seemed that Airwax the H2k's general idea was look, the other team had very high priority on Kha'Zix. We should also have high priority on Kha'Zix. So they took Kha'Zix away from the other team, and they just decided to play Gragas jungle, which I thought was... I actually really disliked Gragas jungle. I don't think it's that good, but he was able to make it work because he had a really, really strong plan of how he wanted to play out the game. He got 3 buffed, same as what they did to the other team. So he's behind in levels, but he was still able to outperform Trashy because he was able to find consistent ganks throughout the game. He pretty much set up a tent mid and camped that for 10 minutes straight. And Trashy was able to burn, I think, except for the top lane gank, which I think should have been a kill, he didn't get another successful gank till the bot lane gank at 12 or 14 minutes. And I think that's really, really bad. If you're the jungler that's ahead of the other jungler, you 3-buff him, and he is more impactful than you, then that means that I think Airwax played this game really, really well. And he's the reason why they won.
I like that. Let's delve into a little bit more about what Copenhagen Wolves did correctly. So outside of the jungle aggression from Copenhagen Wolves, Xpecial, what exactly is lending to these pretty easy or seemingly easy wins there for Copenhagen?
First off, the top lane pick, they picked Maokai against Gnar, and what happened is that Maokai outskills really well. He can fall behind a little bit, it's not a big deal, and we saw Gnar was up in CS at one point, but both their top lane and bot lane were lanes that do fairly well into the mid game, and they just had Yasuo get strong, get ahead, put jungle pressure mid, and just send Yasuo into a side lane, and just went through the mid lane pressure. And that's all they needed to do, just let the Yasuo carry the game and have their other lanes just be support. And that's really what happened. And HK aren't able to win lanes hard enough for that to not take over the game.
Yep, Soren, one of the players in our featured matchup there in the mid lane, definitely performing strongly. We're going to move on now to our Twitter question of the day, which earlier in the show we asked you to tweet us and tell us which teams do you think will be qualifying for the LCS today and why. And here are some of your answers. At Frost says, gotta give it to CW. Woolite is way too strong, and I have to support Youngbuck, one of my favorites.
I think, yeah, they're doing really, really well. I was really surprised by their performance. I think rather than it be individual performance, I think they're all playing pretty well. Their teamwork is just incredibly on point. They are way better than the other team in terms of teamwork, in terms of vision control, map control, and how to play out the map. They even rotated really well, which is really easy. if you're mid lane or if you're really, really far ahead, it's easy to look good. But they're doing it consistently, which makes them look even better. Like, I feel like they're a good team. I feel like they showed up a lot more than H2k has in this series, and it's really hard to say otherwise.
They're definitely looking like an LCS team in this series. Our next tweet comes from @Peridian. I think CLG will make it. They are hungry and ready to show us that they will get back to their old and better form.
Well, you can say that CLG has a lot of potential, and that's really been the story, the headline for years now. And I mean, nobody wants to see CLG out, except maybe TSM. And other than that, I mean, CLG, they have potential, obviously, and we want to see them come back. We want to see them look stronger, and people are going to say they should win this game, and we'll see what happens.
It's definitely hard to see an LCS split without CLG in it. I would have to say, just that brand, that team in and of itself, it feels like they belong. Our third tweet and final tweet comes from @CantonFolkHero. Curse Academy, hands down. St. Vicious has those boys running smooth. #Curse or die.
Well, my original thing is that going into this series, CLG has the edge. I think they have a pretty decent edge too. But CLG has never been a team that has a very strong emotional strength throughout the series. So they go on tilt very, very easily. And it's really easy to lose to stupid stuff. Like, let's say someone gets caught in the middle of nowhere and you lose a Baron off it, you lose the game. And then the emotions leading up to that play and could really, really impact the next play. Like, it's really hard for me to see a CLG that's not emotionally invested into every single game. And because of that, that's like a really, really big weakness. Like, they go on tilt really, really easily. And in fact, their analyst just remarked about that yesterday, about how that the only way they would lose is if CLG goes on tilt.
Well, we'll have to see if they can temper those emotions then and kind of keep an even keel going into their series. Well, thank you for sending those answers in. And remember, you can continue the conversation with fellow fans by using the hashtag LCS. Now, before we go to a commercial break, I got to ask you, going into this third game, 2-0, what are our predictions here? Anything crazy going to happen?
I think it's going to be 3-0 with the way the Wolves are playing.
I think unless they somehow dramatically become a better team, I think vision control-wise, draft-wise, the way they play on the level ones, the way they apply pressure, even the jungler level is like so much better on Copenhagen Wolves' side. Like, maybe Febivin is a better individual player. Maybe that's why he got hyped up so hard. But Copenhagen Wolves is playing like the better team, and I think they're going to 3-0.
H2k, they've got a couple more minutes, basically, to figure it out, to lock down those plans going into Game 3. We, though, need to go and steal a dragon before the Copenhagen Wolves get to it. So stay close, because we'll be back with Game 3 in just a moment.
Does for them in the mid game. Oh, there it is.
Oh, look at that. The body slam flashes the ulti for Vivid. Has no way of getting out for that one. Oh, look at that with a knockback into the turret. There's the root as well. What a good play by Copenhagen Wolves.
Airwalks come in.
Uh-oh,
there it is.
Flash body slam, the explosive cask as well. A lot of damage.
Trashy plays such a good J4.
Oh,
my God, gone.
Down goes the Vivid.
Final push of the game for the final team fight.
Here we go. The knockback comes in. He finds two. Down goes Yarnan.